Hi, welcome to Evolving Art Techniques. I'm Elaine, and I've made a few videos this week and realized that they needed some ink and I wanted them to stand out slightly stronger. So I thought I would share with you some of the tools that I will use to create this onion nature journaling piece. So obviously, I have the onion, and it's kind of propped in a little dish, so you could kind of see the angle. It's changed a bit just to get it set up. And then, just so you know, I put washi tape around it and kind of added a yellow green around the edges and then wrote onion vertically. It drew my onion and drew some green onions. So again, I'm referencing the whole seed catalog, and there was a photograph with the green onions in it. They had several pages of different onion seeds that they grow. But we are not painting and drawing those at this time. So what do I use? So I started with my mechanical pencil. This happens to be a Pentel Twist Erase, a 0.5, a little harder to find. I used to find them actually at Target in packages. Great eraser. And then obviously micron pens. This is a 0.3, but I have some other ones. The finer the line would be a 003 or a 005. So this is 0.3. I think I have a 0.1, and then they get thicker. It depends on the fineness of the line and what you like to use. And then, of course, I love like calligraphy pens. This one is a platinum preppy, and what I like about it, it's a very inexpensive pen, but it fits the cartridges of a carbon ink cartridge in it, which is a waterproof cartridge without having to fill these different types with ink. Um, I just really like popping in the cartridge, especially if I'm out in the field. So now I'm trying to carry the cartridges with me. Now, there's very few waterproof inks. This is an ink that if you want to fill your reservoirs with, you can use it. And I think there's also doodlers as well. So right now I'm just using the carbon inks. They don't come in a variety of colors, and the micron pens. This is an other ink pen. I have it. I think it's the Lamy pen. And the tip of the ink pen is great because you can go from a regular size. Sometimes the ink dries. Let's get the ink going. But you can also angle it, and you can turn it and get, thicker lines with it. I believe now this isn't waterproof ink, but you can get great variance in your lines. But you have to refill. At least that's what I know about it currently. So I drew up, so now I can really follow just my ink lines. And then when it's dry, after a few minutes, I can watercolor. So right now, I think I'm going to go with the ink pen. It's finer. And, it's a matter of if you want to keep correcting, that's when you have to kind of, I guess, stop a little bit at some point, especially when you're beginner, you keep wanting to correct and erase. So, one thing this teaches you is to be very observant. And you can erase with your pencil line, but a lot of artists kind of just draw with the ink pen, and it makes you, as I said, much more observant. So I'm trusting that the lines I'm drawing are kind of correct. So this has already changed um, from being in these lights of the camera. They're really like opening up. So I have to be careful not to want to change everything at this point and kind of put it in some of the lines. And what I loved is there was a piece of the skin of the onion, and in the background, it kind of looked like a fan. So I noticed that. And the only way we really get better with techniques is practicing, just like anything else. You have to put in your time to get better. And even today, it's a good warm up practice to draw. Drawing is always great. I don't think it's cheating. Sometimes when I'm teaching classes, I'll ask students to transfer an image. Kind of hard to transfer this onion, but maybe you would take a photograph and you could transfer that. So these roots are growing out and they're really kind of thick. So just kind of, practice where they're coming from. They could kind of branch off each other and get some depth so I can fill in some darkness under here. Done a couple of paintings for some shows that have roots and trees, but notice how much this has come alive. Now you have to pick and choose when you're doing this. Do you want to accentuate all of the different broken pieces or not? So, there's contour lines for the onion on the skin. Sometimes I talk about broken lines. It kind of helps show what you're doing, and the eye of the viewer will close up the lines. I've probably talked about this a lot. So it's kind of changed my lines. I'm kind of leaving it there, but it's a different view right now. gonna just add some more dark under there. And then if I want to make them thinner or longer, I can add to it and observe more. So that kind of gives you an idea of how much bolder the piece is by doing that. And maybe on the contours, maybe some broken lines. But that can be also done when I'm done painting it. So it just depends on what you feel comfortable with and which style you might like to try. Now, for covering up areas, let's see if I have something. You can always use a opaque white. This is one of my favorites, Dr. P.H. Martin Bleed Proof White. And let's say you ink something, you want to cover it up. I would thin it out and then paint it in. And it's opaque, so it I can put some paint over it. And then there's the Presto Jumbo Correction Pen by Pentel. This was recommended. And I'll take this when I'm out in the field, but the lines sometimes you cannot cover, paint over, I should say. So you have to be careful with the products that, you know, you're choosing. This is kind of a piece I forgot of the onion skin. So you can see adding some darks and lights really add to it. And hopefully that will help you get started. The microns are really great as well. You can get different thicknesses of lines or thin. So these are 0.3s. And when they dry, they are also water repellent, so they won't smear. Because if you forget and you start painting, the ink will smear. And I've done it several times, so I know. So just to be forewarned a little bit. So these are just the green onions. And they remind me of trees because they kind of branch up at the leaves. They can put a little bit of movement in them. Sometimes they kind of overlap. And then you kind of have to remember when you're doing something like this, which is behind, which is overlapping and on top. And I can always change the lines as well. So this looks like it's curving up, kind of breaks up. So it's kind of like a nice composition that way. And you can see that's going to give a nice definition on the inking. So hopefully that's helpful to get started and to be able to see what products I use in my nature journaling before and after with watercolors and gouache. You just have to make sure that the ink is dried first or the watercolors are completely dry before you add these to it. Now you can do very soft or little changes, but you don't want to add things when they're wet. Thanks for joining me. If you enjoyed the content, please like it and follow me. Thank you.